those triple-double numbers.
No question
Scoring
about
just
it.
part of that story. And Victor Oladipo leading the surging Indiana Pacers, who have won 6 in a row and are rolling on the road against the Raptors. Welcome to the Auto Trader pregame show. Dennis Scott, Mike Fratello here with you this evening. I'm that other guy, Chris Miles. We're here to get you ready for a double dose of those dinosaurs. They played here last night, playing here again. Kawhi Leonard is out. Kyle Lowry is in for tonight's game against the Indiana Pacers. Miles Turner out for Indiana as well. That game is tipping off at 7:30. It's only fitting that Toronto faces the team with the third best record in the East to finish a week full of big tests. To start you out, earlier this week, Toronto started against the Stifle Tower and Donovan Mitchell. Kawhi Leonard scored a career-high 45 points to start the week with that victory. Then Thursday night, Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green returned to San Antonio for the first time since being traded to Toronto. Kawhi got booed. Danny Green received applause. Their former team spread it out to a 19-point lead, and the Raptors lost by 18 to those surging Spurs. And as seen right here on NBA TV, the Raptors bounced back on Saturday night against Milwaukee. Toronto used a 15-2 run in the fourth quarter, get their first win in 3 tries this season against the Bucks. Here's Raptors head coach Nick Nurse on his 2 stars, Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry.
What went into the decision to sit Kawhi out tonight?
Just resting him after a heavy week, and I think it's just the best thing to do.
Will you have Kyle back tonight?
Kyle is back.
You've had a million different lineups, a bunch of guys in and out of the lineup, but you've had Kyle or Kawhi in every single game. Is that coincidence, luck, or is it easier to rest one when the other one's playing?
It's luck. I'm not sure if it's good or bad luck. No, it's just coincidence, really. And, it's kind of goes with the territory, especially for us this year. We just got to get here every day and see who's healthy and ready to go, and then start figuring out what we're going to do.
So, Czar, Kawhi has rested the second night of back-to-backs all season. He's out again tonight. You think the Raptors will take this approach for the rest of the regular season?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Reason being, they actually only have 4 remaining back-to-back. So they've done it this far, and the whole thing is based on, we know we're going to be in the playoffs. We know we're going to be a high seed. Why take a chance and hurt our main guy by playing him in a game that we really shouldn't be playing him in? Remember, last year he played, 9 total games last year. Now he comes back this year, and they started out slowly with him. But they would like to get to the point where they feel comfortable. But remember, nowadays, it's not just one guy making the decision anymore. Mm-hmm. You're talking about agents, players, doctors, GMs, a lot of people involved in decision-making.
Including a head coach named Nurse. Now, who comes back? Kyle Lowry, a guy who's missed the last 6 games. Look, this team has been playing well without him. But with Kawhi Leonard out of the lineup, you heard Nick Nurse say, hey, it's good to have one or the other back in that lineup.
Yeah, you want to have one or your 2 best players out there at all times, but obviously the injury bug has been there for both guys all season long. But to go back with Kawhi Leonard real quick, guys, it's now in later. It's now because you want to make sure he stays healthy for the playoffs, and it's also later, Coach, because you want to make all the right moves to keep this man happy, because you know this summer you have to have another conversation with him to make sure he stays. So that's why it's like the old candy. It's now and it's later to make sure everything stays sweet.
You know, Lowry returning is really important to them because even though he's missed 11 games thus far this season, 6 in a row coming into tonight, remember, this guy's still second in the NBA in assists per game, right? Almost at 10, okay, the 10 mark. Then he's also listed free throw percentage, steals, minutes per game. This guy's really important to this team.
All right, let's take a look now at the Dodge road trip ahead. And by that, we mean the Pacers started off their time away from Indiana Friday night with a win over Chicago. They've won 6 in a row. The last team to beat Indiana, the Toronto Raptors. 3D, this team is finding ways to get victories even when Victor Oladipo scores less. They're now 8-1 when Oladipo plays and scores less than 16 points. What does that tell you about the rest of this group and their evolution?
Well, it tells me that Nate McMillan, coach, has done a heck of a job getting these guys in winning situations and having them feel confident. So when their best players out, they say, okay, we'll adjust a few things. We continue to share the basketball. We may run our offense through someone differently, but one thing stays consistent. We play hard every night. And that's one thing you can never take short about Nate McMillan, coach, make sure this team plays hard every night.
One similarity between both teams, they both have great depth. So when you're missing a key guy, they have somebody there to step up and take his place. And that's the opportunity for that guy to shine, and they need to take advantage of that.
And Oladipo did have a great scoring output against the Bulls and stepped up. So even in situations where they need him to score, he can get back to that the way he played last year.
And that's what's so much fun when you're watching Oladipo play, because now he's proven to us now back-to-back years he can get to the basket whenever he wants to. He still gets to the free throw line. But to your point, Chris, he can give you that outburst of 40, but he doesn't need to every night. To your point, Coach, where the team is so deep now where he can have a pedestrian 18 or 19, and then the rest of those guys, Turner, the rest of those guys score points to kind of hold down the fort. So deep team, understanding who they are, but they play hard every night. That's why I'm not surprised at this team anymore.
Not surprising at all to see the Raptors and the Pacers both near the top of the standings in the Eastern Conference because of what they bring to the table defensively. So many different players that are versatile on that end of the floor. How is Indiana able to do that with their talent?
Both teams are good defensively. Indiana is better. This is the #1 team in the NBA at opponents' points per game, #3 in opponents' field goal percentage. And why not take a look at how they play that defense? A little bit different, a little more unorthodox. Let's watch now in transition. There's the big man, communication. I got back. Now, why would you take the ball at the #1 shot blocker in the NBA like that and let him block it, and at the other end, an easy fast break layup? Watch the big man help. Sabonis stays with the ball. Oladipo anticipates that the crossover's coming. He reaches in from behind. I think you like getting buckets like this where he's out in front and he's a guy who can finish. Again, on the sideline, this is what I said about being unorthodox. How many teams do you see trap the ball, use the sideline as another defender? Sabonis anticipates, rotates over, comes up with the steal, and then once again, they're off on offense at the other end of the floor. So this is a very aggressive defense. It's a defense that has the offense on its heels at time, trying to anticipate. Remember, steals are huge for them to get out in fast breaks.
Certainly an exciting game we're going to see tonight between the Toronto Raptors and the Indiana Pacers, tipping off just after 7:30. We've already had a full afternoon of action. The T-Wolves bringing it to the Lakers.
Ooh, cat. Meow.
Oh, that other team in LA, the Clippers, bringing it to Orlando. Montrezl Harrell apparently attacking the rim, the theme for tonight. And how about the Brooklyn Nets? Yes, one of the hottest teams in the league, looking to win their 12th game in 15 tries.
An Express halftime report is brought to you by American Express, the official card of the NBA.
Giannis and the Bucks trying to make the Raptors fear the deer. Ahead 2-0 in this series this year. But it's just a one-point game at the break. In the first game between these two teams this season, Giannis, Kawhi did not play. Second game, both kind of held under the wraps with Kawhi scoring 20, Giannis scoring 18. And in the first half tonight, Giannis with 18, Kawhi with 17. This is what we've been waiting for, these two star players scoring a lot and being effective.
This is definitely what you want. When you have two great players like this, you want to see them put their talents on display. You want it to be a game where both of them shine. And that's what we're getting in the first half. Giannis is playing well, Kawhi's playing well, and it's a treat. And it's one of those things that you love to see. Here you have Greek Freak ISO'd one-on-one against Siakam. One-on-one, there's nothing really he can do. Siakam is long and athletic, but the Greek Freak has too much space, too much room down here. Then you see right here, getting out in transition, running, taking his time, and you know he's going to finish strong and finish right at the rim. And now he's showing the diversity in this game because now he's leading the fast break. He sees the lane, attacks that rim. So what I like about these highlights is we're seeing Giannis all over the court doing different things. Right here, this is just a grown man rebound, bully ball right after the dunk, bouncing up. And now you see him initiating the screen, goes straight to the left, gets back to that right hand. Giannis can do it all. He can finish on the break, he can lead the break, he can rebound. And the best thing about him is when he sees an area and he sees space, he attacks it immediately.
And Giannis is, those clips are a really good example of it, but Giannis is the one who's benefiting the most. It's been an assault at the rim for Milwaukee in this first half. 28 points in the paint. They're getting right to the cup. That offensive rebound and putback, there's nobody in the lane 6'10" or bigger. They've taken advantage of the fact that Toronto is playing smaller in the absence of Jonas a little bit here.
When you look at the rebounding numbers, Giannis is out-rebounding Toronto's front line 9-7. Is that something we overlook with his game because we're always talking about the three-point shot or whether or not he's scoring in the paint? But rebounding, at times, he's been dominant. This seems like one of those games with 9 rebounds in the first half.
Yeah, he can be dominant as a rebounder. He's also dominant as a playmaker. I mean, it's what makes him so special. He can literally, every time he steps on the floor, offer the potential for a triple-double, and you can feed off of him if he's not scoring. And one of the big reasons for it is because he's got the ability to grab those rebounds we saw in traffic. He rebounds out of his area. He's not a guy who's a space rebounder. He's just going to be bigger than you, longer than you, and go get one.
And that is a great part of his aspect of his game, is because we talk about a lot of guys that are two-way players. He's a three-way player. He can score the basketball, he can defend, and then he can be a monster on the glass. He averages 13 rebounds a game. There's a lot of centers in this league playing 30 minutes or more that don't get that many rebounds. So it just tells you how diverse his game is, how many different ways he can help you win. And that's what winning is all about when we start talking about positionless basketball. When you have a guy that you can say, hey, he might can get you 40 or 50 on a given night, but if he's not scoring, he can help you defensively. Oh, and if he's not doing it defensively, he might get you 17, 18, 20 rebounds. That's what you're looking for in a star player.
So much focus on Kawhi, so much focus on Giannis. Kyle Lowry not in this game, one of your assist leaders in the NBA this year. Fred VanVleet stepping up. Great for the Raptors in the first half, but we saw him down towards the end of the half with an injury. 3 for 3 from outside. If he's not back in the second half or is not fully effective, what do the Raptors do?
Well, they'll probably lean on DeLon Wright, and DeLon Wright's a fine young player in this league, but that's a step down from VanVleet, who I think is probably the best backup point guard in this league, and DeLon is not a natural point guard. He has talent, he has size, he has ability with the ball, but I think Toronto offensively takes a step back if they don't have VanVleet, and on top of that, they already don't have Kyle Lowry, so being down to your third-string point guard normally hurts the offense, and it puts a lot of pressure on guys like Kawhi to try to do even more.
And it really changes the dynamic here because they don't have Kyle. Their closing lineup very often is both Kyle and VanVleet. Yeah. So it's not just that they're going to rely on DeLon, it's that they can't put their best closing lineup on the floor at all.
That's a great point, Griffin. We'll look for that in the closeout of this game to see what lineup they do end up going with. Kawhi Leonard bouncing back after that loss to the Spurs last night. And the Raptors pull it out over the Bucks. Nikola Jokic had himself a game. 39 points, a season high for him. And that's not the best part of his game, Griffin. It's the passing. It's the ability to rebound, get the extra shot. I mean, just an impressive overall performance for the Nuggets big man.
One of the plays they showed there was a big-to-big Jokic dropping it down to Miles Plumlee. Because Jokic is their primary playmaker and they don't need to keep a point guard on the floor, they've been able to play big-to-big a lot this year. They can play an enormous lineup out there with Paul Millsap on the court, with Juancho Hernan-Gomez, with Jokic, with Torrey Craig. They've kept a lot of size on the court, so at the end of games, they tend to overwhelm some teams on the defensive side, and they have absolutely picked up what Coach Malone is trying to do.
You said overwhelmed. How about this is an underwhelming ending? Jazz head by 3 final seconds.
What was that?
Reggie Jackson throws the interception.
And Blake is overwhelmingly disappointed.
So is Dwayne Casey.
Wait a minute, how many points were they down?
3.
Okay.
About 10 seconds to go.
Interesting situation.
Blake Griffin, 34 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Andre Drummond, 15 points, 18 rebounds. And of course, Blake Griffin did not have the ball in his hands, and he's a point forward. That's the guy you want bringing the ball up the court there, right there.
It is, and again, it's another example of how badly they miss Ish Smith. They are absolutely not the same team in any way when Ish is not available to them.
That's extreme talent.
How do you learn how to balance a grill on your mouth?
Hard.
Time to double up on the dinosaurs. Sunday, right here on NBA TV, Toronto Raptors, Indiana Pacers. Game starts at 7:30, but make sure you tune in before that, 7 o'clock, for the Auto Trader pregame show. And of course, the dinosaurs playing right now against the Milwaukee Bucks. They're just at the half, 1-point game with Milwaukee on top. And we're just going to circle at points in the paint there, Griff. Okay, because Raptors playing good defense in the paint, but still not able to stop what's happening.
Yeah, and if Milwaukee had not uncharacteristically given away 10 turnovers in that half, they've been so good in terms of ball control. They've been really good in limiting opponents' fast break opportunities, and neither one of those were particularly good in the first half, and they're still in the position they're in. I think this sets up rather well for Milwaukee moving forward, particularly if Van Vliet can't come back.
Yeah, for me, depending on who wins the second half, a lot of it's going to be determined by Van Vliet's health and availability.